What's up, TikTok? TikTok is the first platform where I finally realized that I didn't aged out of social media. We're going to see how it goes anyway. We're going to be nice to them today. See if these kids on TikTok know what to do with this real estate. All right. And we're good. So, folks, my name is Odis James. I'm a full-time real estate investor out of the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm the founder of the 4 Data Points Academy. It's the only real estate training platform that does not have an end date. We take people from zero knowledge and we guarantee that we stay in the fight until they become seasoned real estate investors. I am a former mortgage broker. I ran a mortgage office with my father for about 13 years. My corporate job was in the multifamily commercial industry. I was overseeing about $650 million in multifamily commercial assets when I stepped away. But I own multifamily, so technically I didn't step away. But in that capacity, I left at the corporate level. I was a notary public back in the day. I had a national notary signing agency. I'd done some things on the entrepreneur side outside of real estate investing. I took $585 and utilized what we call an outsourcing business model. Created a company that went on to generate seven figures in the short time that I had it. Had nothing to do with real estate. It was just an idea that came to me, and I just executed it. We are also, y'all bear with me. If you hear me pause, I got my students come first. So sometimes my students will have an emergency and send me a quick message. All right. So I spent the better part of 20 years in the multifamily commercial industry. I'm licensed in insurance. I'm a licensed real estate broker in California and in Georgia. I'm a long-term hold investor. I consult on multiple projects, domestic and abroad. The Probably some of the more notable ones were over in Africa, the country of Gambia and Senegal. Some of my students actually were some pretty high profile people over there. So they got me in the office of the vice president of Gambia, or what they refer to as the minister of interior, to consult on some projects. And it's been downhill ever since. There are about five of us in our core group, some of which you will never see or hear from. So unfortunately, you are stuck with my face and my voice for the most part. And this is what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna deliver. We teach, right? I typically don't do this just to talk. I think you guys got enough of that on all the other social media platforms. But I teach. And today I'm going to teach something that if you understand this and you practice this, you'll be ahead of 95% of the people looking to get into real estate investing. There are a lot of people out there that know how to invest, and somehow they got it in their minds that they could teach it. I do have a training background. Some of the people that I trained in the multifamily commercial industry went on to get awards, including one of the most important ones, year over year NOI, net operating income increase year over year. I've been awarded in multiple positions in that industry. So I do have a training background, and some of these assets that the people I trained were responsible for were valued in the hundreds of millions, 300 million, $400 million. So if I can do all that, I think I can teach you how to flip a house. I try to bring an honest approach to real estate investing. People typically, get excited about what's sexy, and that's typically, flipping houses and some of the creative stuff. But it's not like most people think. It's just, there's so much more to it. Like, there's 25 core ways to invest in real estate. And then if you really want to nerd out, there's over 70 ways to invest in real estate. So my approach is to teach my students every way to invest in real estate so they can survive. If you just flip houses, you're not going to survive in the real estate world. If you're just doing the Burr method, you're not going to survive in the real estate world. The more tools you have, the better off you are going to be. So I'm going to give you one of the most important tools. What you guys can do for me is, if you can share the room, if the more people that know about who we are, the more opportunities that we create. Some of you guys that have been following me for some time know that, I like to help folks, and some of you guys witnessed me helping folks in real time. All right, real time. So, quick share or whatever, or don't. All right, just soak it up. So we're going to get into 4 data points. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? Those are four questions that you have to ask every single time that you are considering a piece of real estate. You have to ask and answer those four questions. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? If you can't answer those four questions and you decide to move forward despite not having the answers to those four questions, you are going to lose some money. It is just a matter of time. So I'm going to break it down for you. There are three purposes for organizing the information with these four data points. The first the first purpose is it prompts the right questions. So when you're a new real estate investor, you don't always know what questions to ask. So this will force you to uncover information that you may not have known to ask about. to ask about. I like that hat, George. By the by the way, amen. You may not know to ask about. So the questions are designed to uncover critical information that investors might not think to ask on their own. So by asking the right questions, you reveal insights that go beyond surface level details. And once we start getting into these four data points, and once my students start analyzing these properties, and we talk through a lot of things that they need to be aware of so they don't commit to something that they can't get out of. The second purpose of these four questions is to help you stay focused. It helps investors focus on what really matters in a deal. It eliminates the emotional component that can cloud judgment in real estate investing. And I see this time and time and time and time again. And more often than not, I have to be the bearer of bad news because I'll have some students that maybe they're just getting it. They just got their first deal opportunity and I got to shut it down. And it's not a situation where, we can just be optimistic. And I don't think people understand that because our organization there's no end date. So if I'm giving you some advice and I wouldn't take the advice myself, it's not sound just because you're excited about it, then I have to look at you in perpetuity 3 or 4 times a week, knowing that advice didn't work. So, I'm very, very transparent and I'm very, very direct. And, some people get discouraged, right? I had one student that analyzed 40 deals and none of them. And then they did the basics, right? I'm teaching them how to rule deals out. 4 data points. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? And after looking at 40 deals, none of them were actual deals, right? And they were getting discouraged. And I had to explain to them that, look, stop getting excited about getting your first deal. Real estate investing is lifelong. It's forever. It's through all the different cycles and you branch off into all different types of opportunities to make money in the world of real estate investing. And then I said to them, what if you move forward on one of these deals despite it not working? Then it's going to hurt you financially and it's going to hurt your family's financial future, right? So we're not going to take a deal at the expense of our financial future. So, I think that's a win. When somebody gets their first deal, I do not consider that a win. I can throw a rock and get a deal. When one of my students explains to me how to avoid a bad deal, that's what I consider a win, right? Because that's long-term thinking, right? All right. So the 3 purposes of 4 data points: forces you to ask questions you didn't know to ask as a newer investor, helps you stay focused, and it acts as a quick evaluation tool. Okay. What's up, Apostle? Long time no see. All right. Those questions. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? I pause because I'm sipping my coffee, so bear with me. All right. So how do we use them in practice? So the 4 data points, although they're listed in a specific order, they're not executed in that order. Right. So in practice, we often begin with data point number 3 and data point number 4, depending on the type of property we're evaluating. So let me explain what that means. Data point number 3 is what is it going to be worth when I'm done? Data point number 4 is how much income can it generate? And let me tell you what those 2 numbers tell me. Data point number 3 lets me know how much money I'm going to have to leave in the deal. Why? Because it tells me how much I'm going to make on the exit. And then when I compare that to data point number 1, what does it cost or what am I willing to pay? If those numbers are too close together, then I know that I'm not adding enough value to get all my money back out of the deal. That's what it tells me. Data point number 4, how much income can it generate? That lets me know if I can keep it or whether it has to be a flip. If I can keep it, great. I need to be able to refinance out of that expensive financing or that creative structure that I'm in. And I need to make sure that that final mortgage is lower than the income that the property generates. Another way to say that is I look at data point number 4, how much income can it generate, to make sure that it can service the debt that I incur on my exit. Amen. I don't know why I say amen. I know y'all can't talk back. All right. So we're going to keep it simple. All right. Now for residential properties, we start with data point number 3, because properties are valued 1 to 4 units based on what similar properties are selling for. For multifamily and commercial properties, we start with data point number 4. How much income can they generate? Because commercial assets are valued primarily based on the income that they produce. All right. So let me say it like this. Let's say we got a 20-unit apartment building. Now I can't just go to data point number 3 and see what it's going to be worth when I'm done, because I don't know yet. It's not valued based on what similar properties are selling for. In order for me to understand what a commercial property is going to be worth when I'm done, I have to be able to look at the income potential and then do a calculation based on that income potential. Now I know that's a lot of, I know it's a lot to swallow, right? But so let me give you an example. Multifamily commercial is valued this way. It's the net operating income divided by the neighborhood cap rate. Well, what's a cap rate? A cap rate is the relationship between a building's net operating income and its market value, or what it's sold for. So you look at all the transactions in the area for that asset class, you take the net operating income of those transactions and you divide it by what those buildings sold for, and you have your cap rate expressed as a percentage. So when you're evaluating your subject property, you take the neighborhood cap rate and you take your subject property's net operating income and divide that net operating income by the cap rate. I use a 10-unit apartment example. It goes like this. This apartment it generates $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year, and then I back out 20% for expenses for this particular apartment building. That leaves me at $28,800 for my net operating income. If the cap rate in the area is 6.5%, I take $28,800 divided by 0.065, and my value is $443,077. Don't be impressed. I'm not good at math. I just use the same example every time, so I memorized it. All right. So there you go. All right. So that's the difference. That's the distinction between doing this for residential and doing this for multifamily commercial. Now, I also want to say one thing. This is not an end all be all. This is just a way to rule out some of these deals so you don't have to do all this heavy due diligence just to find out that it's not going to work for you. All right. We typically don't get into the multifamily commercial stuff until later. The natural progression is, I teach people how to protect themselves. I teach people how to mitigate risk. I teach them how to generate quick cash utilizing flips. And then we get into some longer term strategies and then some creative deal structure and, and so on and so forth. So again, because our program has no end date, I have a little more time with people and I can work with them based on their situation, their availability, and so on and so forth. All right. All right. Now, data point number 3. Let's spend some time there. What's it going to be worth when we're done? Now, I already mentioned for residential properties, the value is based on what similar properties in the area have sold for recently. This means we need to conduct a market survey or a comparative market analysis, CMA, to review recent transactions and establish a realistic ARV. ARV stands for after repair value. That means what's it going to be worth when you're done? If you're doing any rehabs or any of that stuff, what's it going to be worth when you're done? If it's turnkey and already ready to move in, then guess what? The value is going to be what it is. So that's for residential. For multifamily commercial, which is 5 units or more, the process is different. Again, these properties are valued based on their income producing potential, not just comparable sales. This approach is called the income approach, In this case, the ARV is directly tied to the property's financials, specifically the income it's expected to generate once all improvements are complete. All right. Now, those folks that are wanting to get into apartment building investing, their first one or two apartment deals, they don't know what they're doing. All right. But these folks have one-on-ones with me. So I basically take the lead on just about everything and I teach them during the process. And then when we exit, it's just them. I don't get any money from it or anything like that. I do it that way because I think that that is the best way to learn. What up, Sean? Hey, feel free to come up here, Sean. You guys on Clubhouse, feel free to come up. Just go ahead and come up. It's all good. And anybody else that has a question over on Clubhouse, you guys are more than welcome to come up. I would just say, we're live streaming, so just make sure that we keep the conversation, professional, because and no cursing, absolutely no cursing. I got a brand to protect, and I was raised right.
Who in the made that up?
What's up, Sean? How you doing, man? You can say what's up back.
I'm doing well. Doing well. I cannot complain. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers that I didn't get to. I hope everybody had an enjoyable weekend.
Father's Day. Don't get me started. It's going to turn into a whole different live stream. All right.
I was about to say it's a whole nother conversation. Keep it together. Keep it together.
A lot of angry fathers out. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want nothing. We don't want nothing. Sometimes we just want to be left alone. All right. All right, well, let's keep it going. Using the right tools to determine the property value. Now, I use PropStream. Is PropStream perfect? Does it work 100% of the time? No, none of them do. But out of all of the ones available, I found PropStream to have the most dense data set, right? The most information. Now, again, what's up? What's up, miss? Come on, you can come up. It has the most data set, the best data set. All right. So basically, PropStream just gives you some insight into public records. And if you are looking to see what similar properties sold for in that area, then PropStream is going to be probably your best friend. All right. So I pull comparables in PropStream. What's up, Danielle? How you doing, sis?
How you doing?
Tell everybody who you are, where you from.
Sure thing. So I am Danielle Robinson. I am a licensed realtor here in Atlanta, Georgia. Also a formerly licensed insurance agent. Good to be here.
Did you say formerly you're not licensed in insurance no more?
No, I'm not. I will be probably at the end of the month, but I haven't done insurance in about 4
Then you
years
are.
now.
We gonna claim that in your name. Shout out to the
So I say that because I'm licensed in insurance too, folks. I'm not in the insurance business, and I never plan on being in the insurance business. I don't even take my own test I have somebody else take my. Oh, I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that on live stream.
Don't say that.
I've been taking my own test and all right, just kidding. I take my own test. Okay. All right. So, Danielle, you're up here. So tell me, how do you figure out, let's say you got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you're getting ready to list it. How do you figure out what it's worth? Or what to list it for? Let me go through. How do you figure out what to list it for?
Right. So I always look at the comps in the area.
Mm-hmm.
I also check out the property, see if they've done any upgrades and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I really started off.
That's it. Yeah. So as real estate investors, we're going to be doing the same thing. So we have to make sure that we can see what similar properties sold for in the area within a certain time frame, a recent time frame. I usually look, an appraiser is only going to take the most recent transactions. So a lot of people say, well, go back. You should only go back 3 months. You should only go back 6 months. You should only go back a year. Well, it depends on how many comparables are available. And it's not always an exact science. I had a property that I had a condo that I was going to list, and I had it appraised twice within 7 days because I had to switch lenders. The first lender had an issue with the way the homeowners association was being ran, which is part of the reason I don't like homeowners associations. That's a deal breaker for me in most cases. But they appraised it for 220,000. But because they couldn't go through with it because of the homeowners association's financials, then I had to go to a different lender. So we had it appraised again. A week later, there was no new transactions, same exact data available to both appraisers, and the next appraiser appraised it for 180. So it's not an exact science, right? Shout out to any appraisers out there. Nazis. Big up to you guys. All right. So when I open up PropStream, I log in, enter the property in the address search bar. Then I click property details, and then I navigate to the comparison section, and then I use filters to narrow down the results and find the most relevant comparables. Now, number one mistake that I see people make when they're doing this as new investor, let me see, you could have transferred the appraisal, but as a buyer, that lower value helps you. No, they weren't going to let me transfer the appraisal. You used to be able to do that in most places, but I tried that. They wouldn't let me do it. As a matter of fact, I had them go back and do another desk review, and they were it's just the nature of what it is. But yeah, sometimes you can transfer the appraisal. This case, they wouldn't let me do that. So we use filters to narrow down the results to find the most relevant comp. So the number one mistake that I hear new investors making is they will look for comparables to support their argument, and they do not utilize the comparables that the appraiser is going to use. So that is a major issue for me and for people when they go outside those lines. All right. Now, if you guys are looking for, a tool that you can practice on, I would recommend going to PropStream. I have an affiliate link with them if you guys want to. And no, I was using them way before the affiliate link, years before the affiliate link. And James, who helps me with operations, actually reached out to them and got me an affiliate link. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. And I still didn't know what it was for. And I kept getting these checks every month. And I was like, where's this check? Where's this check coming from? And it was PropStream. So shout out to PropStream. REI Pro is good too. We don't have an official affiliation with REI Pro, but I talked to those guys over there, and they helped me with a few things internally. So shout out to REI Pro too. All right. Now, so that's data point. That's how we look to see how much a property is worth when we're in the 1 to 4 unit space. Now, data point number 4, what I use is a company called Rentometer. It's spelled Rentometer, and it's easy, right? All you do is put the address into Rentometer. It's going to give you the rental ranges for similar unit types in that area. So if you are trying to see how much your house can generate in income, then you go ahead and put the address. You go ahead and put house. It'll say, well, what do you think the rental income is going to be? Then you go ahead and put it in there, and then it'll ask you how many bedrooms. It'll say, is it 1 bath or 1.5 or more? You can say 1.5 or more, and then it's going to give you the average, the median, the high, and the low. Now, if you don't have the money to do that, if you don't have the money for these subscription services, you probably shouldn't be in real estate investing, but I understand life happens. If I didn't have the money to be able to, get Rentometer, then what I would do is I would go on Craigslist or apartments.com, and I would pretend that I'm moving into that zip code and see how much I can expect to pay in rent. As long as you understand that those properties that are listed for rent have not received those rental rates yet. So just keep that in mind, right? One of the themes about investing in real estate is you have to look at everything. You always have to look at the good news and what bad news is over the horizon to offset it, and vice versa, all right? And it's my job to make sure that my students can evaluate and see if the good news is good enough to move forward, all right? Now, data point number 4 is the easiest to gather. Like I said, we use rentometer.com. Go to their website, put in the property address. It's pretty self-explanatory. It matters because knowing how much income a property can generate helps you decide whether you're going to keep it or flip it. There's only 2 exit strategies. You're either going to keep it or you flip it. anytime you keep it, you've got to have some permanent financing, some long-term financing. If you purchase the property and utilize the mortgage product where they they pay for the rehab also, that is not long-term financing. That financing is not designed to go long-term. All right. Now, thanks to you folks that shared the room on TikTok. This is a new page for us, so we're going through those growing pains, and so for our first few months, we're probably just going to be talking to the same 10 or 12 people. So I appreciate it.
I need you to respect them 10, 12 people's grind.
I do, man. We actually had we had somebody sign up for a real estate family, and I was like, I don't remember having a conversation with this person. And then they told me, they were like, yeah, I jumped on TikTok one day and there was like 6 of us in there, and you were teaching like it was 1,000 of us in there. And they hadn't been following me for a long time, so they don't know that I've been doing this for for some time. But I was like, hey, it is. I feel you. But yeah, so we're on multiple platforms, folks. So don't worry, my feelings aren't hurt because there's only.
Yeah, we don't want the fluff anyway. We want people with intent who intend to take action.
Come on, man. Come on, Sean.
There you go. That's quality over quantity.
And believe me, don't worry. If I decide I want to talk to 300, 400, and 500 people at one time, I'll just I'll do what everybody else is doing and put them little booty shorts on and just walk away from the camera. Is that what No, that's not what that's not what the kids are doing. Okay.
I don't know, but please don't do it yourself.
Okay. All right. I'm not gonna do it. But it was a trip, man. I forgot what post I did one post, right, and I was like, look, I'm gonna teach people how to buy a piece of real estate without coming up with the down payment. I'm gonna teach them how to pay out of your exit strategy and the steps. I was like, oh, okay, I put that post up. I walked away from my desk like, by the time I get back, I'm gonna be viral. It was like 3 views.
You don't show them how to use their booty shorts to get the down payment.
My feelings were so hurt. I was mad. I was like, look, maybe they didn't see it. Maybe there's a problem with the technology. Now, folks, that's just the world we live in. Like, there's a reason why, the 1% or the 1% and the 99 aren't, right? So we always look for the right people. And I've had the pleasure of meeting some really, really good people. Everybody in our real estate family has been a treat to work with. All right. Data point number 2, right? So we went over the 4 data points, how we assess a deal. We're working our way through them. So data point number 1, what does it cost, or what am I willing to pay? Data point number 2, what does it cost to fix up? Data point number 3, what's it going to be worth when I'm done? In the 1 to 4 unit space, that's where we start. Data point number 4, how much income can it generate? That number lets us know whether we can keep it or we have to sell it. Okay. 2 of those we continue monitoring through our project. Why do we do that? Well, because we may want to keep the property, do our cash out refinance. What's up, Bilson? Do our cash out refinance. But what happens is there's economic factors that can influence your ability to exit. And it's typically interest rates. So if interest rates continue to go up, then guess what? When we try to do that cash out refinance, our anticipated value dropped, and we can only refinance for a portion of that value. So if that value drops below our projections, then we have to go ahead and kind of recalibrate. And what that means is we can't do a cash out refinance. Now we have to sell it. Okay. Well, I call that pulling the parachute. So anytime you guys hear me say pulling the parachute, that means, hey, we got to switch it up, pull the parachute, we got to bail out. All right. So we don't teach people, this is data point number 2 now. We don't teach people how to be contractors. Do you have a favorite creative finance strategy, or do you recommend a traditional lender? That's a good question. So I always try to do something creative. I always try to get the most for the least. So if I have a pre-existing relationship with that seller, or it's a scenario outside of me just, reaching them through my marketing, let's say we know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, then I'll typically try to pay for it out of my exit strategy, which makes the 4 data points that much more important, because if I'm going to compensate them above what it would take, because you always got to compensate people to work with you creatively. Otherwise, they could just sell it on the open market. But I don't know how much I can compensate them if I don't know what the property is going to be worth when I'm done. So Yeah, I try to do creative. And again, it's just a tool in your tool belt. The more tools you have, the more successful you are. One thing you guys are probably experiencing if you're in the real estate investing space is seller's market cooled off. It's slipping into a buyer's market. All right. So what happens when it's a buyer's market? It gets more competitive. Prices start coming down a little bit. People are offering concessions. So you got to be able to account for that. All right. Now, again, we don't teach people or students, right? I hate the word students. I hate the word students and mentees. It rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, I don't teach students how to manage or how to be contractors. I teach them how to manage them. So everybody in our real estate family, you guys know that we are that whole rehab process. We beat that to death. All right. And I think on Thursday, I'll get into the rehab stuff because it can be daunting for people that are new. But as long as you have a process in place, not only is it, easier than it sounds, but you can manage a rehab 2,500 miles away if you understand what processes to put in place. All right. So, like I said, we teach them how to manage contractors. So determine data point number 2. What does it cost me to fix up? We need to develop a scope of work, which is an itemized list of everything that needs to be done with the property. Now, for somebody that doesn't know how to do a scope of work, I coach them like this. I'll say, look, you don't have to know how much anything costs. You've got 3 moves when you are putting together a scope of work. The first move is just make all the observations of everything that you need done. Just make a list of everything you need done. Move number 2 is put it in a format that you can hand to somebody. I'll take all of my observations and I'll put them on an Excel sheet. I'll have one column with all of the things that need to be done, another column for what it's going to cost, and then I have a few more columns for some other personal stuff that helps me organize the project. Now, let me see. I just need to find one to manage. Amen. All right. So, observations, itemized list. Move number 3 is get bids. Okay. Let me say that again. Make your own observations. You don't have to be an expert to spot issues. Walk the property and note everything that needs to be fixed or improved. You guys are going to do this same thing when you own property and a tenant moves out. You go in and take an itemized checklist of everything that needs to be fixed for the next tenant. Same thing. Then you create an itemized list. I have a template. There's a million different templates online. Bigger Pockets, they have a bunch of templates. If you're using a lender, they'll have a template. And then you get bids. Now, this is important, and this is one of the small details that can impact your project significantly. Don't just have a contractor come over, look at the property, and give you a number on what it's going to take to fix everything. Okay? Have them bid based on your scope of work. Now, they can still come and look at the property, but have them bid it based on your scope of work. This is a mistake that a lot of people make. Contractor comes over, they say, yeah, I can do this for about 40,000. They're like, cool, we'll do the contract and we're good to go. And then halfway through the project, they got to pivot. They're going over budget. So they got to cut some things out. How do you know what to cut out if you don't know how much each of the things costs? And if you don't know how much each of the things costs individually, then the contractor has the freedom to massage it any way he wants. Let's say you need to save some money. Hey man, I know we were going to do kitchen countertop. Let's just go ahead and leave those countertops so we can save a little money. The contractor can come back and say, oh, well, I was only going to charge you $100 to do the countertops. And what are you going to say? You have no itemized list to combat that. All right. But if you have a detailed scope of work, you could say, hey, look, we budgeted $2,500 for the countertops and we went with luxury vinyl plank for the flooring. Look, let's go ahead and leave the countertop. So we got $2,500 we're going to make up there. And instead of a waterproof LVP, let's go with, I saw some stuff on, I saw Home Depot had a sale on some flooring. Let's go with that. So we can save about $1,200 there. So boom, we're good to go. Now I just got another $3,700 freed up in my budget. Again, you can't do that if the contractor just comes out and gives you a general number. Okay. So you always want to make sure that you have a detailed scope of work and have the contractor bid based on your scope of work. All right. I even take that scope of work and attach it to my contract as a, what do you call it? as an not an addendum, but a what do you call it? Like an addendum or exhibit. Sorry, an exhibit. All right. Let me see how to do this real quick. I'm trying to adjust these squares. Hold on. Let me see how that. There we go. Let's do it that way. All right. Now, make your own observations, get an itemized list, get detailed bids. All right. Now, sidebar. Make sure you guys protect yourself with inspections. Now, okay. So as a new investor, it's important to recognize, I'm going to read you my lesson, and then I'm going to give you my 2 cents on this. As a new investor, now that's the operative phrase, as a new investor, it's important to recognize that some issues with a property may not be immediately visible. So problems with plumbing, electrical system, HVAC foundation, subflooring, and other structural components can easily be overlooked during a basic walkthrough. That's why it's critical to have a professional home inspection. I'm not going to read the rest. That's the gist of it, right? Now, when you are managing now, folks, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. Most of you already know that. My last 7 deals were on the East Coast. Every last one of them, I did not see the property prior to acquiring it. Okay. And I exited out of all of them. Now, a property inspection is my eyes and ears. Okay. Now, I'm talking about investing from a distance now. Now, if I have to go all the way across the country, first of all, property inspection, and it ranges, $600-$700. It could be $400 to $700, depending on where you are. But let's say $600-$700. Now, I could just walk the property, not need a property inspection. I know what to look for. I can even have the actual vendors that I'm going to be using come out and tell me what it's going to take to get what they're going to be working on up to code. I can do that. But there's a few reasons I do a property inspection. One is if it's a 1 to 4 unit, there are laws in place, disclosure laws that are in place that say if the seller knows any issue with the property that is going to impact the property's condition, they have to disclose it to the buyer. Now, that's 1 to 4 unit, folks. This is not 5 units and above. It's 1 to 4 unit. So there's consumer protection laws in place where they have to disclose it. The reason why I do a home inspection, one of the reasons is once I have that home inspection done, I email it to the seller. I email it to the seller because if there's any issues and we have to renegotiate, they might as well negotiate it with me, because if I back out, they have to disclose that to everyone else purchasing the property. Now, another reason is I'll use that home inspection to do my scope of work from afar, right? So I can do my scope of work based off that home inspection and some pictures. So the home inspection, for me, it serves multiple purposes. As a new investor, you're going to want to get a home inspection. Okay. And I'll leave it at that. So inspections and disclosures, I won't get into disclosures. All right. So we're talking about the 4 data points. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? 1 to 4 units. We start with data point number 3. Why? Because similar properties, whatever similar properties are selling for, that's what ours is going to be worth. We start with data point number 3 so we know how much profit we're going to make. We start with data point number 3 so we know that we can compare what it's going to be worth when we're done to what we're buying it for. And since we can only finance a certain portion of the value, that portion has to be more than what we paid for the property and what we paid to rehab the property, if we're going to get all our money back. So let me say it a different way. I start with data point number 3 to know if I can get all my money back out of the deal. If I can't get all my money back out of the deal, then I'm going to look at data point number 4, how much income it generates, to see if that cash flow, that return, is worth me leaving my money in that deal. Okay. Now, it's not always a right or wrong answer. And this is something that is for every real estate deal. It's not always, is it a good or bad deal? The 4 data points tells you what the deal is, and it's up to you to determine, is it a good or bad deal for you? Some deals are good, some deals are bad, some deals are right? So depending on what you have going on at the time, it may not be worth your time to do this deal. Or depending on what you have going on at the time, it may be worth it to do this deal. Amen. All right. Data point number 1. What does it cost, or what am I willing to pay? Well, why? Why either or? Well, what does it cost? There's typically a price next to it, but we got to make sure that price is legitimate. So we have to look at what we're willing to pay to see how it compares to that price. Or maybe there is no price because it's not for sale. It's not on market. So you have to have some way to determine what you're willing to pay. Now, I know a lot of folks, a lot of new investors, they go straight to the 70% rule. The 70% rule, it's a quick guideline that real estate investors use to estimate the maximum price they should pay for a property to make a profit, especially when flipping houses. I put especially when flipping houses. I should say specifically for flipping houses, but I'll give you the formula for the 70% rule. The formula for the 70% rule goes like this. And remember, when you implement the 70% rule, you're guaranteed to make a profit. Okay. And then we'll talk about it afterwards. The formula is maximum purchase price, right? Your maximum purchase price equals after repair value times 70%. So if your after repair value is 100,000, 70% of that is 70,000 minus estimated repair costs. So if your ARV, your after repair value is 100,000, your repair cost is 20,000, and you apply the 70% rule, you say, all right, 100,000, 70% of that is 70,000 minus 20,000 for repair costs. That puts me at 50,000. What's up, Lisa Tinsley on Instagram? All right, that makes sense. 70% rule equals or is your ARV, what it's going to be worth when you're done, 70% of that, and then back out 20 the whatever the repair cost is. Whatever you have left is your maximum offer price. Now, that is not the end all be all. There are many times where I'll go over the 70% rule. Why? Because long term, I'm going to make money if I decide to keep it, right? So this is most useful for flips. Okay. So let's say your ARV is 300,000, 70% of that, 210,000. Estimated repair costs, 40,000. So your maximum offer price is 200,000, 210,000 minus the 40,000, 170,000, right? Just Google 70% rule, folks. It's all over the place. Again, that's a great guideline for starting out. Until you get more seasoned, I wouldn't rely on that 100. I wouldn't rule out deals on that 100% because you could miss out on some good deals that don't fall within the 70% rule that are, that are still good, decent deals. But if you're new, you can't go wrong with the 70% rule. All right. Now that we've gathered 4 data points, next step is to understand what they're telling us. And I know I touched on a few of these, but I want to get into it just a little bit more. So real estate investing isn't just about collecting numbers. It's about analyzing those numbers to make smart, informed decisions. We all know that. Each data point offers a piece of the puzzle. And when you put them together, they reveal the picture of a deal's potential. So for a second, I want to look at how to interpret different combinations of these data points and what those insights can mean for your investing strategy. Now, folks, this is a guide that I created for my students. So if you want it, reach out to me. I'll get it to you. I will put I have a text number in the chat. If you guys, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Hold on. You guys on TikTok can see it over my face. Over my head, that number up there. I'm going to put it in the chat for you folks on Clubhouse. I see a couple of you guys are my students already. So let me not say students in our program already. So you guys already have this. But if you text what we charge for mentorship, I'll give you this guide. If you go to our website, 4datapoints.com, and you text me what we charge for mentorship, I'll give you that guide. So at least I know you looked at what it is we do. All right. Now, let's look at a scenario. And if you guys are writing this down, then this would be a time to get your pen. So cost, rehab, ARV, income. Cost, what does it cost? Data point number 1. What does it cost to fix up? Data point number 2. What is it going to be worth when we're done? Data point number 3. How much income can it generate? Data point number 4. So let's look at it this way. The cost is $150,000. The rehab is $60,000. The after repair value is $240,000. You guys don't have to write this. I'm gonna give you the answer anyway. I'm gonna analyze it for you. And the income is $1,800 a month. So data point number one, what does it cost? $150,000. Data point number two, what does it cost to fix up? $60,000. Data point number three, what's it going to be worth when we're done? $240,000. How much income can it generate? $1,800 a month. Okay. When we're evaluating properties with 1 to 4 units, I start with data point number three, as I said before. If the ARV is $240,000, I know that if I decide to keep the property as a long-term hold, I can typically get financing for 80% of the ARV. That's $192,000. Okay. Let me read that again. If the ARV, the after repair value, is $240,000, I know I can get a mortgage for 80% of that. So I know I can get a $192,000 mortgage on that value. My second observation is based on data point number 4. What does it rent for? In this scenario, the property rents for $1,800 a month. I've already determined that if I do a cash out refinance based on the ARV of $240,000, I'd have a mortgage of $192,000. I enter that $192,000 mortgage into a mortgage calculator to see how much it's going to cost me a month. And then I come up with a number. This includes principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. It's important to note that property taxes are based on purchase price, not loan amount too, folks. So just keep that in mind. So I'll make sure I'll adjust it accordingly. But based on these figures, my total monthly expenses come out to about $1,500. So based on, and then depending on what interest rate, right? But this $192,000 mortgage is going to run me about $1,500 a month. Now, of course, it can vary based on your location, insurance premiums, local tax rates. So to be conservative, let's estimate my total, let's say at $1,550, okay? So with $1,800 in rental income and $1,550 in expenses, the property would cash flow $250 a month. Now, is $250 a month going to be, life-changing? Let's walk through the numbers and see what they tell us about the deal. Now, number one, acquisition and rehab costs. $150,000 plus $60,000 for the rehab. That's $210,000. That's my all-in cost before I even calculate closing costs, which will add to the final total, right? But we're not going to add points and fees. We're just going to, we don't want to do all that math right now. You know what it is. I'm sorry. Cracking myself up over here. I was thinking about them bad kids in school, the bad ones that the teacher would tell them to go up, and
all the teachers with rap songs about their students now at the end of the year, they all talking about that.
Oh man, the bad kids would have to go up there and work out a problem on the board, and they couldn't do it, and so they throw a tantrum and start flipping chairs over and stuff. All right, I'm sorry. All right, I digress. Okay, acquisition and rehab, $150,000, $150,000, $60,000. So we're all in $210,000. Refinance potential, we know we can do an 80% mortgage on that $210,000. That's $192,000. Most investors use hard money or other short-term financing to buy the property and fund the rehab. That means we need favorable finance terms to pay off the expensive short-term debt, right? So on our cash out refinance, that's going to be our permanent mortgage. But the purchase mortgage and the rehab, those are expensive. Those are not designed to go long-term, okay? So that means we need favorable financing terms to pay off the expensive short-term debt. In this case, even if I wanted to leave some money in the property, I'd still come up short. I wouldn't just have to leave, I wouldn't just have to leave money in the deal. I'd have to bring in additional cash to the table just to close the refinance. Basically what that means, folks, is if my refinance mortgage amount is less than what it cost me to purchase and rehab the property, I got to come in if I want to keep this property as a long-term hold, I'd have to come in with some cash. Why would I do that? I wouldn't, unless the property is cash flowing so much per month that it warrants me coming in with that cash, but my cash on cash return will tell me if that's a suitable way to move forward. Okay. Cash on cash return is the money you make by the end of the year compared to the money you put in the property. Okay. Conclusion. This is not a long-term hold situation. This is a flip. Now I'm gonna break it down. Let's break it down a little easier. Okay, let's break it down a little simpler. I'm going to do 4 data points. This is the $30,000 house, right? This is easier to process. Data point number 1, what does it cost? $30,000 to purchase. Data point number 2, what does it cost to fix up? Let's say another $30,000. Data point number 3, what's it going to be worth when we're done? Let's say $100,000. Data point number 4, I need a new pen. Data point number 4, how much income can it generate? Let's say $1,000. So it's going to cost me 30 grand. It's going to cost me another 30 grand to fix it up, but it's in a neighborhood where similar properties are selling for 100,000. So I'm going to be all in 60 for a property that's going to be worth 100. Now we already know we can do an 80% mortgage on the final value. 80% of 100,000 is 80,000. We're not going to count points and fees, right? So now I got an $80,000 mortgage. So when that new lender wires those funds into escrow, the closing company, escrow company, is going to say, all right, well, he's got a mortgage on for 30,000 and he's got a construction holdback for 30,000. Basically, let's just say, call it a $60,000 mortgage. So my $80,000 mortgage pays off the $60,000 mortgage and I get to keep the change. That's why it's called a cash out refinance. So I get to keep the 20 grand. Okay. That $80,000 mortgage is probably going to cost me about $800 a month, depending on the interest rate. And I know the property makes $1,000 a month. That's $200 a month cash flow. When I look at a deal, I look at both. I look at the cash flow. In this case, it's $200 a month. And I look at how much I can pull out for the cash out refinance because that's tax free. That's not a taxable event. So I got to ask myself, is that deal good enough for me? Now, let me add this. When people are getting into, purchase, rehab, exit. Nope, you're doing it. Purchase, rehab, exit. Yeah. So buy with dibs. You're not missing a step. You have the final 2 steps in the exit. So purchase, rehab, exit. Exit could be a sale or it could be cash out refinance. So you got it all. That's it. All right. Now, when people come and want to join our real estate family, I always have to manage expectations. And when I manage expectations, sometimes people don't join. It is what it is. I'm going to tell you the truth, because if I don't tell you the truth, we don't have an end date. I've got to look at you to the end of time and try to fulfill some promise that I knew couldn't be fulfilled in the first place. But most people have talked to other people first. And I always recommend that they do that. Talk to everybody else first and come to me last. Okay. And other people make promises. And I'm very careful with the I can only make one promise. My only promise is that we'll stay in the fight with you for as long as it takes. And we're not going to make you keep paying us to do it, because we're banking on our ability to turn you into a real estate investor. And if I can't bank on that, I shouldn't be in this business anyway. All right. But what other companies are doing, they have salespeople and they have sales teams and they have a lot of overhead. And they got to pay these salespeople. So if you go to some of these companies and you say, I want to be making, a month, but within my first 12 months, most of them say that's doable. And I always have to bring people back. Now, mind you, folks, I've been exposed to real estate my entire life. I come from a real estate family. I was 3 years old going to real estate meetings with my father. I'm 49 now. And I've been involved in some way, shape, or form ever since. Okay, I've seen it all. There's no mystery strategy out there that I don't know about. There's no, this is my world. Okay. So I tell people that's not likely. And I also tell folks that in the general sense, I tell the world, just because something is possible doesn't mean it's likely. Is it possible that your first deal can be $1 million deal? It is absolutely possible. Is it likely? Absolutely not. I think if you're going to go with those odds, just buy a lottery ticket. All right. Because based on your knowledge, when you're new, your first deal's not going to be $1 million. Now let's take this scenario that we just figured out, right? $30,000 house, $30,000 rehab. Now it's worth 100. We can get an 80% mortgage on that, $80,000. That's enough to pay off the rehab and the purchase. That leaves us with $20,000 tax free, and a mortgage on the house, $80,000. That mortgage costs us $800 a month. Property generates $1,000 a month. Now, first, I want to acknowledge all of this is active. That is active income because we had to do something to get this $20,000. Okay. The $200 a month is passive income. That goes on in perpetuity minus, vacancy and all other things that come with managing property. When someone says, I want to make $20,000 a month, I ask them, how do you want to make it? Do you want to make it passively or actively? They say, well, passive, because we talk about mailbox money, right? And I think that the best money is mailbox money. I also believe that you got to be active in order to get passive. You got to do a bunch of active stuff to build up your passive. Now, again, we made an active $20,000. And when we exit it, we're making $200 a month, $2,400 a year. That's passive. So I asked them, I said, okay, you want to make $20,000 a month passively. This deal probably took us 4 months. That means you could do 3 of them in 1 year. So how many of these deals do we have to make so you can build up $20,000 a month? So I'm going to take 20,000 and divide it by the 200. 100 deals. Now, granted, deals aren't all going to be the same. They're going to be different. You're going to make more on some. You may make less on some, on others, right? 100 deals at this rate to get a passive $20,000 a month. That means you also got 100 properties. Okay. Now that's very, very basic. But in those 100 deals, how much did you make actively if we did identical deals just like this? $2 million. $2 million actively. Okay. That leave you $20,000 a month. Now, is that realistic? No, you're not going to do 100 deals getting $200 a month cash flow. You'll probably do 4 to 10 deals, flips, long-term holds, and then you're going to call me. These are my students. Then you're going to call me and say, like, look, man, these things, this is wearing me out. And also you're compounding your progress. So anytime you pull, even if you pull $20,000 out on the cash out refinance, it is tax-free, but you should be putting that into a cash flowing asset, right? So you're building up and you're building more and more and more and bigger deals. So I understand all that. But the time is what I'm trying to communicate, that it would take that it would take. So I typically will put people on a plan and I'll let them decide when they want to go to the next level. I'll teach you how to flip homes because it's important. You got to know how to flip a home because there may be times where an opportunity presents itself and you just want to take it down. You may also need an influx of cash so you can put it into a bigger cash flowing asset. I get that. Okay. So there's a big process, right? We all have a plan and it's my job to get you to your financial objective the quickest. But the reason why I break that down is because most real estate investors are not, and I'm talking about personal real estate investors. I'm not talking about institutional real estate investors. Okay. I don't compete with those guys. Those guys are well capitalized. We're not even looking at the same properties, okay, or same apartment buildings. But I give people a realistic picture of what real estate investing really looks like. How about we just focus on making $5,000 a month and then we have another conversation, okay? And then when we get to $10,000 a month, we have another conversation, all right? But what happens is you're going to do 4 to 10 flips. You're going to call me like my students do and be like, these flips is wearing me out because there is an emotional component to flipping. Your things that go wrong, and after your first couple are going to be tough. You're going to wonder if real estate investing is really what you want to do, right? Not realizing that flipping homes is really just like 5% of investing in real estate. All right. So just keep that in mind if you say, look, I want to be a real estate investor. And by the way, don't quit your job to do this, folks. I teach people how to do this from a distance, keeping their job, keeping their 9 to 5, using processes and systems that we have in place to be able to do that. I was in the multifamily commercial industry. I was overseeing $650 million in multifamily commercial assets. I was also still a licensed real estate broker in 2 states. I was still licensed in insurance. I was mentoring people also, and I still had time to kick it. So you can do all of this. Okay. So I try to tell people, look, let's get realistic. Don't make any poor decisions getting caught up in the hype. This is a long-term process. This is something you're going to be doing today until you're no longer on the planet. There are times when it's really, really fun. There are times when it's not as fun. There are times when you want to give up. All of the things are, what's up, Ashanta? All of the things you are going to experience. Okay. All of these things you are going to experience. Folks, if you want to join us on TikTok, we are, I don't know what my name is on TikTok. I don't know what my TikTok name is. Is it Odis James the third, 3 eyes? Odis James, 3 eyes, if you want to jump on there and see my face. Why would you want to see my face? I don't know. I just heard it when I said it, and it sounded funny to me too. Moving on. So why do I give this information away for free? Let's talk about that for a second. If you mentor people, why are you always teaching this stuff online for free? Because I understand that it's not about the information. It's about the practical application of it. There are too many things that can go wrong. There's too many variables that impact a real estate investment. None of them are going to be the same. There'll be a lot of similarities, of course, but none of them are the same. All right. And I started the 4 Data Points Academy really out of necessity because I just saw people being taken advantage of. I was writing these lessons before I started doing this on a large scale. So I could just hand it to people because I would get invited to speak at these different conferences and all of that. What's up, Eddie Gwen? Hey man, let's catch up, man. I would get invited to all these conferences and speak at these different places, and everybody seemed to have the wrong idea about real estate investing. And then I realized, oh, well, they have the wrong idea because they're being sold a dream. They're being sold a dream. That's what it is. And everybody that I see, not everybody, folks, but a lot of the heavy marketers that I see marketing this, they know that people aren't going to be able to accomplish what they're promising. There's absolutely no way, not in the time frame that they say, and not with the level of support that they give, because they have a start date and they have an end date. And you can't become a seasoned real estate investor. Look, in 6 months, 80% of the problems that you're going to encounter, you haven't even seen yet. So if you go to a program now, if you want to take a course or something just to improve your knowledge, great, do it, right? No one can ever take that knowledge away from you. But if you're taking a course, a real estate investing course, it shouldn't be more than, $300-400, right? Maybe more expensive if there's a hands-on live training over a longer duration. Okay. That's just my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that people that charge more than that are doing anything shady or anything like that. That's just my personal opinion. All right. It's up to you to determine the value and what it's worth to you. But the education space for real estate investing is not like you guys think. It's not. And so I started giving these lessons away just to protect people because I hear all the horror stories. Let me see. Queenie says people need to increase their income with new skills. Yeah, amen. And knowledge is something that they can't take away from you. It's not the wins that I've had that developed me into who I am. It's all the losses and all of that stuff, all of the negative stuff. But I know if I'm bankrupt tomorrow, and I'm not above going bankrupt, folks, you're not going to see me out here and, flossing like that. 1, I'm too old for that. 2, I was raised right. 3, I've been big man on campus ever since I was a teenager. So I don't need the validation. I've been dope. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute. I didn't know that last part came out. I'll tell you what, one of the reasons I share this information for free, whether through this document, which is a 4 Data Points, a guide, live streams, community workshops, is to help people protect themselves, period. By understanding the basic principles of real estate investing, people can avoid getting into deals that they may not be able to recover from, especially if they're not part of my mentorship group. Some of the people in my mentorship group are of a certain age or, over 70 years old. They don't have time to be doing all this risky stuff and try to recover from all of these, these far-fetched strategies and all that other stuff, right? So it has to be done the right way. The goal is to educate and empower the community so that more people can make informed, confident decisions. Gentrification is going to happen. No one cares how you feel about it. Gentrification is going to happen. It's just a matter of who is going to participate and who is going to get left out. Gentrification is progress. You cannot stop progress. If you want to stop progress, move to another country. And by the way, when you get there, see what happens when you stop progress. So I want to equip people with the power to do it themselves. They can structure deals creatively within the community and bring in third-party financing to go ahead and finance everything. If they don't have the capital, because maybe it's a disenfranchised community, teach them how to pay out of the exit strategy. Well, who's footing the bill if they don't have the capital? The third-party financing. You just position the deal to where when you bring them in, now you can exit, and nobody in the community had to come in with their own money. And that's part of the reason I do this. What makes a 4 Data Points Academy different from other companies? Now, first of all, I'll say this. I don't think, I'm not saying other companies are shady. That's not what I'm saying. But this is the question that I ask. You've got to know that people are not going to be able to get a 100-unit apartment building right out the gate. You've got to know that. And you've got to know that people are not going to be seasoned investors in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You got to know that. So promising that, either you do know that and you don't care because it generates good revenue, or you don't know that, which means, in my opinion, you're not qualified to teach it in the first place. So I'm not questioning people's motives. I'm just saying that's that's my question. The main distinction between 4 Data Points Academy and other programs is simple. For what we offer, they will charge you $25,000 to $35,000 annually. I get it. I'm not saying, hey, look, if that's where you are, do it. Okay. Sometimes even more than that. That's based on our research. We researched the 5 top companies, and I wanted to blow all of them out the water because my name's attached to this. And they know who I am too, by the way. I'm not going to mention their name, but they know who I am because some of them have tried to recruit me. We don't have an end date. You pay one time. From there, you decide when you no longer need our support. And when you decide that doesn't mean you're gone. You stay in the community. Now we've got a bunch of seasoned real estate investors. Guess what? Now we can go into a community. We can affect change in a particular community without anybody even knowing that we were there. We can create more opportunities for people. Of course, we can make it profitable, but now we know, like, and trust each other, and we can go out and do some stuff together. I now have seasoned real estate investors in our program. We do. We've got, I think we've got, I'm going to say 2. I really think it's 3. I'm going to say 2 just so I'm not called a liar. 2 millionaires since we started. I'm not going to say their names. They can if they want to say, they can say, right? But one of them gave us a testimonial. So if you guys know where I am, where to find me, you can find it on your own. I think 3. The third one is, I don't know, but I think 3 millionaires. That's how I gauge my success. That's how we gauge our success. How many people are we actually turning into real estate investors, right? You need to give people unlimited access, not just to a virtual classroom, videos, right? But and you got to give them real world support that helps you apply what you've learned. It's the practical application of this stuff. I've got enough lessons. Beth says retired, health not the best, want to invest, but passively. Beth, just shoot me a text message. There's people in far worse situations that are actively doing this. I've got to be able to do this. If my health declines tomorrow, I've got to be able to do this. If I'm 80 years old, 90 years old, I've got to be able to do this. I'm just going to do it differently. I'm going to look for ways to invest in real estate that don't require me going out there and doing rehabs, that don't require me, flying all over the country. There are ways to do that. Folks, I teach people 25 different ways to invest in real estate. The folks that really want to nerd out with me, we can get up to 78 different ways to invest in real estate. If you don't believe me, I will send you a list of all 78 ways you can invest in real estate. Most investors can't even name 20 off the bat. You know how I know that? Because I could barely name 20 off the bat.
Because we talk to them every day.
I just recently realized it was 78. I had to look at the list and I was like, okay, I know how to do that. Do you teach about adverse possession? Yeah, there's really nothing to teach about adverse possession. It's just, I could teach that in a 3-minute conversation. Is not everything, folks. We teach everything. There is no, if we find, and I'm always looking for, by the way, that one thing that I don't know so I can learn it. And sometimes, I'll come in, Saturday morning, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. I'll just go down a rabbit hole and look for the one thing that I don't know. Now, the things that I don't know have to do with the different rules in the different counties all across the country, right? Because a lot of things are different. And the last 10 deals that I did were in counties that I never operated before, because I teach people how to invest all over the country and how to go in blind and start from zero. All right. And you're only as effective as your ability to reference material. So I have to teach people how to do that. And we also have to teach people how to move forward despite what their situation is. Because guess what? Your situation ain't going to be perfect all the time. Folks, I got a commercial deal right now where I've been actively taking a $3,500 a month net loss every month for 2 years, not including improvements that I had to work to maintain it. So I'm at $150,000 loss, and I'm going to keep losing and keep losing and keep losing probably for another 1.5 years. That's the way it is. Now, when I go back to where we got stuck, I look at all of the information that I had, and I say to myself, look, if I had to make that decision today based on all of that information, would I make the same decision? And for me, yeah, absolutely. Now, the only reason I didn't just bankrupt that entity is because I've got other people that went in with me on that, and some of them, they put in like 5,000 here. It was like our first group project. And so the reason why I'm taking these losses is so they don't have to. So I'm trying to carry it until it becomes profitable, and I'm still prioritizing them. So I'm not going to get that money back. But it is what it is. You make more money. That is the solution. You make more money. Beth, reach out to me, Beth. I got something for you. Reach out to me if you can, if you're still there on TikTok. All right. Do you teach about adverse possession? Yes, I said that one. That's the number one real estate secret. There really is no number one real estate secret. Adverse possession. So folks, adverse possession is basically if you just move into a property, even land, if you just move into a property, you pay the taxes on it. There's a few other, you have to meet certain criteria, right? Then eventually you'll just get the property, right? That is, I wouldn't make a business model around that, just like I wouldn't make a business model around seller financing or subject to financing. I mean, it's far and few between. I give people a realistic approach, and you've got to have all the tools. Interested? Where do we find the information? I have a duplex, but trying to become a true investor. So just go to my website here. Is it iHolland, or I'll put so 4datapoints.com is the website. Let me see if this lets me do that. 4datapoints.com is the website, or you can just text. I know you guys on Instagram can't see it. You can just text 702-710-8030, and then I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to you today. All right. So there's my, that's why we do it. That's why I do it that's why I do this. Okay. Until then you get, okay, I don't have to get into that. You guys know there's no end date. You pay once, you're with us for life. I don't think you'll need to be learning from me for life. Folks, I have enough lessons to keep you behind a computer for 2 years, right? You're not going to need all that. You're just going to get overwhelmed and want to give up. But how about we take
that? It's just not all at once.
Yeah, you're not going to need it all at once. But I think that's also one of the advantages of not having an end date. The investor you are as a beginner is not going to be the investor you are as an intermediate. When you're intermediate, you're not going to be the same investor as when you're advanced. So there has to be curriculum to level you up each time, right? Each time. And it also puts us in a position where we don't have an out. Like there's no out for us, right? There's no, it's once we start this professional relationship, we have to see it all the way through. Even if you give up and then, 1.5 years later, you change your mind and want to tap back in, I have to create a space for you to come back in. All right. We also encourage people to invest with family, right? We've got some father-daughter teams. We've got some mother-son teams. Obviously, we've got some husband and wives teams. I always encourage people to talk to their significant other. One, I know how to be, I know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and I know what it's like to be a real estate investor. And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier when you have the support from your significant other. All right. Otherwise, look how it sounds. Ladies, I'm gonna go to you first. Ladies, how does it sound? You go to your significant other. Hey, hon. Hey, can you got a $6,000? I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna write this check for $6,000. I met this guy on the internet. He's gonna teach me how to invest in real estate. If my woman came to me with that, guess the conversation would be over real quick. The hell you are. Right? So I typically have them. I like to talk to both people, just because I expect people to be skeptics, and I enjoy those conversations. Right? I enjoy showing people what it is we actually do, because there is no, either you come with us or you don't learn how to invest in real estate. You do it on your own somewhere, but you're not going to go to another company to teach you, because none of them offer
Looks
what
like
we
there's
offer.
a couple people in your chat on TikTok that are asking for the 4 data points website again.
Oh, 4datapoints.com. If you just text this number right above my head here, and I'll reach out to y'all. I'll give it to you. That number comes right to my desk, and I'll reach out to you. We don't take a whole bunch of people at one time, right? Personally, I mentor about 350 people right now. We've just got a few new people. We keep our classes really, really small, right? So we can interact during class. It's not like a class where there's 30 people and then it's all over and no one gets a chance to. No, we stay on until you actually understand what it is. We do some live workshop style stuff, right? I'll show you what the lesson is. Then we go over it in real time. What's up, Keisha? We go over it in real time. And
Also, for you folks on Clubhouse, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. You don't got to come up or speak on the mic if you don't want to.
Amen. David Lucas says, want to make money without risking your funds? Let me show you how to turn $200 into $4,000 in just 3 days of trading.
Let's go.
I heard that. Go ahead, Dave. I don't. If you turn 200 into 4,000 every 3 days, I don't see how you have time to to post. I mean, anyway, that's not a real person. That's one of the bots. All right, folks. I'm gonna take some questions. How do we connect? All right. How do we connect? We do virtual classes in the evenings. Why do we do them in the evenings? Because people got lives. And I don't encourage people to quit their job or disrupt their lives to learn how to invest in real estate. I think people should jump into real estate investing only after it costs them too much money to stay at their regular job. Give you an example. I was in the multifamily commercial industry. I was at the corporate level. I was overseeing, you guys know, about 3,000 units, $650 million in multifamily commercial assets. I could work from home most of the time. I had a lot of freedom. And I would still be doing that. I really, really enjoyed it, right? And then, then after work, I could do all of this and I could do it all, right? The reason that I ended up leaving there is because, well, two reasons. I'll keep one to myself. The second one had nothing to do with me, but I saw something I didn't like, but it was only 12% of my income. So at some point I couldn't justify, I couldn't justify staying there, right? And I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, so they paid really, really well for that. But it was only 12% of my income. Now, are there days when I don't miss that guaranteed 2 weeks, 2 weeks check? Absolutely. All right. But I don't encourage people just to jump into this stuff. You can do both. You can do it all. I was investing all across the country while I was in corporate. Okay. So yes, you can do it all. Weekly roundups. Every Monday, we have a meeting in the evening, 5:30 in the evening, California time, 8:30 in East Coast time. That gives people time to get off work, make dinner, get settled, and then we can rock out for about an hour for whatever people want to go over, right? Tuesdays, we go over residential real estate investing. Wednesdays, we go over residential real estate investing, the exact same topic we did Tuesdays for the people that couldn't make it. Thursdays, we go over multifamily commercial investing. Fridays, I'm doing nothing. I'm probably just going to be, Friday is going to be, me doing all the back end stuff and coordinating with, everybody involved with what we do and just working on the business. I'll be doing live streams. I'll be doing Clubhouse all summer, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be real estate. Wednesday is going to be entrepreneurship. Friday is going to be personal development. I will not be leading the personal development conversations because I do not have the credentials to do so. I'll be contributing, but that's going to be led by a gentleman. It's also a part of our organization named Dr. Alfred Smith. So why are we doing all of these things? Venture U is the entrepreneurial leg of the 4 Data Points Academy that we're developing now. We're going to set that off with an international business retreat. I'm flying in experts to Medellin, Colombia, the first week of Q4 this year, and we are going to have every single expert you would need to start or scale your business. You don't need to talk to anybody by the time you leave there. And then we're going to implement a curriculum and a program after that. Right? Ascend U is personal development, sales training, leadership training, and really personal development, personal image training. That tagline is change your image, change your income. Okay. It's not superficial. It's just the tagline. So I've already vetted the curriculum. The person that's going to be taking the lead on that, Dr. Alfred Smith, right? He's not a dentist. So Dr. Alfred Smith, he's a lot of experience there. And he helped me through some very dark places. You guys that know my story, he helped me through some very dark places in my life. And I've always wanted to build a program around him specifically. And I'm gonna when you guys meet him, he's done one live stream with me. When you guys meet him, you guys will see what I'm talking about. But the reason we're doing all these things is because real estate investing, it can make you wealthy, but it's not going to save you. It's just not. And a lot of real estate investing is to supplement other things that we want to do. You guys want to do some nonprofit stuff. You guys want to do some affordable housing stuff. You guys want to do whatever you want to do. Real estate investing is a means to support that. So you've got to know how to run a business. Yeah, I'll teach you how to invest in real estate. At some point, you're going to want to have a real estate investing business you can step away from, right? So you can get some peace. You could be the best real estate investor in the world. If your personal life is in shambles, your quality of life and your stress level is not going to change. Period. Trust me, I'm a testament to that. The darkest place that I've ever been in life, I had more money than I needed, more cars than I needed, more women than I needed. I'm sorry, I thought I was on mute. You guys get the picture, all right? Yes, Trey, ask a question. Anybody else that has a question, feel free to go ahead and tap in. So that is Trey. Is it Trey from TikTok and Trey the Investor? So when somebody asks a question, I'll go ahead and repeat the question so everybody can hear it and everybody can understand how the answer applies. Okay, let me go.
Yeah, TikTok, come on up. Ask your questions.
And Trey, how you doing?
I'm making it, sir, one day, one step at a time.
Come on, man. Staying in the fight. That's all we can do.
Okay, so now, Mr. Otis,
Amen.
let me give you the context here.
Yes.
I was on the first live where Dwayne was talking about bringing you on June 10th,
Yes.
and then I was on the webinar or whatever for that.
Okay.
And so I'm at an oasis, and I got a small situation that I want to ask questions about, and I wanted to know from an expertise perspective, how should I approach this thing here,
Okay.
right? So I'm married. Me and my wife, we got into a rent to own deal with a company called Trio. Are you familiar with them?
No, but I'm familiar with that business model.
Okay, cool. So a rent to own deal. We've been in the house about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
When we first got into it, it was either 225 or 235, and now it's at 291 according to what they're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So um right, we have about 11,000 in like some type of account with them that's going to go toward the down payment or whatever on it.
Yes.
I do have somebody currently working on her credit to get it to where she has three, let me see, she got three 700s all the way across the board,
Okay.
and they just getting started, so I got to give it some time.
Okay.
And then my aunt just introduced an idea to me about living inside of the city limits. I'm from Houston, right? And
Amen.
there's some type of grant or something like that that's supposed to be like 125,000
Mm-hmm.
toward the house.
Okay.
not that one that I live in, but I would have to move inside the city limits
Mm-hmm.
to get that. So now my question to you would be, now if I've been staying in this house about 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
I've accumulated about 11,000
Okay.
on it, and I pay about $2,000 a month to stay in it.
Okay.
We've been doing paying that for about 5 years now. So what's that about? I know for me by myself, I did it for 3 years, so I know I did it. What's that? 36,000,
Okay. So for
something
five
like
years,
that.
oh, 3 years. Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. Go ahead.
Now, in my mind, I'm like, look, I'm not saying that the 125 ain't a good idea, but for me, I'm more so thinking about staying where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I'm a truck driver. I drive for a living.
Okay.
And 3 or 4 days, sometimes five out of the week, my wife is at home by herself.
Okay.
Right? She's not street, she's not hood, she's not gangster, she ain't that kind of person.
Okay.
So my neighborhood is a safer environment for her
Mm-hmm.
than it would be me moving inside of the city.
Okay.
That's one aspect of this thing.
Okay.
And the second aspect was all of the money that I've invested into it.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I'm like, well, I should go ahead and at least try to see if we could make this deal work with the deal that we have instead of leaving it for something completely different. Even if it is 125,000 on the table that I could use toward the house.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think?
I think you should stay where you are because there's certain benefits that aren't financial, and my wife feeling safe. There's no amount of money that can.
Yeah, I can't guarantee that if we move somewhere else. I would actually have to see what neighborhood it is and be able to kind of get a feel for the area because I've been living in my whole life.
Yeah.
She hasn't, so I know what's what. But I just know moving inside the city limits of Houston, yeah, the crime rate going up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, but I got property in Houston also. So, matter of fact, I had a property built 5 years ago that's sitting vacant right now. So, I would say I think you've got the right. I'm right with you. Like I agree with you. I would stay where you're at. So it sounds like you're in what we call a lease option. So the lease option, there's typically language in the lease option that shows you how you can exit. But I would probably try to exit sooner than later. So you should be able to exercise your option to purchase it right now. She's got 3 700s across the board.
Not yet. We working on that. We
O-
getting there. She close. She about
Okay.
60 points short of that.
Okay. So I would still, how's your credit?
Nah, I got it. I have
Okay.
it, but I'm not. I'm actually trying to, even consider the whole Dwayne approach, like using the corporations or whatnot. But I mean, I don't think that we can do that simply because this deal started in her name. I
Do,
don't believe they're gonna be willing to step away from that and go into it from a business side of this thing.
okay. So, have you looked at a mortgage recently? So have
I
you,
have not.
okay. So, you see that phone number above my head?
Yes.
Okay. So text me your information. I will put you in contact with a lender that I trust. I don't get anything out of it. So I'm only referring you because I know that they can do the best
Hey,
job.
hey, we are doing now. They can call
I'm part of,
speak.
on the real estate side, I'm a part of the winning real estate team down there in Southern California, not the lending side, but I send me your information. I'll go ahead and get you set up with them. I'll look at the actual property address for you to see what you can expect, but she should just be able to refinance into it because she's already been there. Now, this isn't going to be a hard money loan or any of that stuff. This is going to be regular conventional financing, but she should be able to refinance into it. And some of that money that in that $11,000 they can put for your equity position. All right. So are you in Houston now? You're on the outskirts of Houston now?
Now I live in what they call Spring.
Oh, I know exactly where you at. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So now, I'm just now, even with the 291, I'm not now in the neighborhood that I live in.
Hmm.
That's low because a lot of the houses I can tell you for certain I don't think it's no houses really in that neighborhood that's gonna be up under 200 something. No, sir. Them houses is 3, 4, 500,000. It's not more than that.
Reach
And
out.
so I I wanted to make sure, like using like an appraiser or something like that, to make sure that their price is even true before I made that deal with them. Because I think they might be putting a little something on that. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, you don't have to use an appraiser. I can look and see what some of the properties are selling for. So I save
Not
the.
only that, but they'll do it during the loan process. We definitely support the winning real estate team and family down there. They'll take good care of you.
Yeah,
Okay,
they'll
so that
yeah.
number I just dialed it in my phone, but I'm gonna text it when I at the first opportunity that I get to. I'm talking to y'all and moving at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get you taken care of, man. That's yeah, you in a good situation. You're in a good
Okay, yes or
situation.
no? My name is Ashton, even though I have it on here listed as Trey.
Ashton. All right, make sure when
Yes,
you
sir.
text me
Ashton
you
Price
you
is my
send me
name.
your name too.
Will do, sir. Will do, sir.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Amen. No, thank you. Thank you.
All
Uh,
right.
I think we have. Let me see. We have. Oh, Drew says. Drew. So Drew, I have it. I have one phone for TikTok. I have my iPad for Clubhouse. I'm using StreamYard for on my computer for YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and I have everything running through a Rodecaster Pro. So that's the setup I got. He was like, "Where are all these voices coming from?" All right, folks. Look, how do we connect? We do virtual classes in the evenings, like I mentioned. Zoom, I teach 90% of the classes. We do have other people that we may bring on to train, but I'm very, very particular about who I get involved, in what we do, partly because I take full responsibility for everybody's success. It's hard for me to hand that off. So we do, virtual classes in the evenings. We do the weekly roundups. That's every Monday night, just kind of free time for everybody. That's good for people that don't have one-on-ones with me. They can get extra support that night. They can get extra support in class. They can come back to as many classes as they want to. They can take as many classes or lessons in the portal as they want to. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. Any new lessons that I introduce, any new topics in real estate investing training that I introduce, everybody gets them, past, present, and future, right? The one-on-ones, we do have one-on-one meetings. Those folks that have one-on-ones with me have my personal cell phone. Let me explain what that means. That means at 10 o'clock at night, when you have an emergency and you need help because your contract is about to expire at midnight, you don't know what to do, you call me, I'm taking the call. You call me, I'm taking the call. And the folks that are actively in real estate transactions, there's times where we got to talk, 8 or 9 times a week, right? There's been times where we've had to talk 8 or 9 times a day. Now, those folks that are investing in apartment buildings, you better have one-on-ones because I basically have to underwrite the whole deal for you. That's a lot of work, okay, while training you into get you into the space where you can do it on your own. We do have in-person events. We do workshops all over the country. I've had to dial it back a little bit, but we're going to go back to doing workshops all over the country. You guys in our real estate family attend those workshops for free. Now, I know some of you guys have been to my workshops. Friday night, we all get together, meet and greet. Saturday, we have the workshop. Saturday night, everybody's up to my suite. I have it catered, and we have a good time. We give some of the new people that join that day a chance to meet some of our current students. We'll typically be in one of these cities: Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Charlotte, DC, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, LA, Long Beach. We did Oakland, but I ain't going back to Oakland. We did Philadelphia too. Sorry, Sean, I ain't coming back to Philadelphia. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Well, shout out to Philadelphia. I just, we got to pick. We got to narrow it down. So, no shade to Philadelphia. That's Sean's stomping ground. All right. Any questions before we tap out of here? I'm going to stop let me stop the 4datapoints.com. That's how you guys can get a hold of me. I'm going to stop the live stream on Instagram and